Hello, how are you?
صباح الخير.
صباح النور.
كيف حالك؟
الحمد لله. Yes, and what are
Okay.
you fluent in Arabic or?
No, قليلا.
Mhm.
أحسن نتكلم بالإنجليزي.
Okay, inshallah. So I've got two windows with your name. So the other gentleman is.
Excuse me?
You've got two windows with your name.
Yes, because I wanted to show you around, because so that you have an idea what I'm doing here. But technically now. You have only one image. Where's the other image? Okay, because I'll show you around. I have this exhibition. Can you hear me?
Yes, it is a little. The volume is a little low, but I can hear you.
Okay. Because I'm walking away from the microphone now, and I'll show you around what I'm presenting the people here in Holland. Then we have here an exposition about coffee. I have here coffee plants, images from Peru, coffee rust. This is from Saudi Arabia, Jebel Shada. Images from Peru, from Colombia, from Peru again, Saudi Arabia, Ecuador, Colombia. Here I have coffee plants. Here I was roasting earlier on. And here is the coffee you sent me. And then we have here the table in which I receive guests. And today you're my guest. Did you hear what I'm saying?
Yes, I heard you, Andrew. Yes.
Okay. So now you have an idea about what I'm doing here.
So there's a lot of information that you will require from us.
Well, I'm interested in a few things. For example, my beans. The ones I got, the red and the Haraaz, where do they come from?
So they come from a region in the Haraaz Mountains. This is midway between the Sana'a capital and the coast of Hodeidah. So the Haraaz Mountains is a very large region of coffee production.
Yes.
And this particular lots come from the Sharqi Haraaz or the Eastern Haraaz Mountains.
Okay. I in a few years ago, well, 10 years ago, I walked around in Haraaz. I visited Banaga and Al Hutayb. Is Sharqiya, is that close to Al Hutayb?
Yes, that's the region, yes. Where the local souk is Manakha, yes.
Okay. And can you tell me the difference between the two packs? I have the red and the Haraaz. What are the differences?
So traditionally, coffee is sold in Yemen in the form of dried coffee cherries. So the farmers normally they harvest the fruit and then they would dry it on the rooftops or any other way. And then they would keep it in store for until whenever they want to, they need some finances, and then they would take out whatever quantity they need to raise finances for and sell it in the market. So it would almost be like that's a traditional practice that they have, and that would
Okay.
mean it is like money in the bank for them, the coffee. Now, when we ventured into this business way back in 2006, we realized that this is a wrong practice, and that does not really manage quality where it needs to be managed. So what we introduced to them was offering to buy fresh coffee from them immediately after harvest.
Okay. The berries.
Now, yes, the berries. Of course, initially the concept was completely alien to them and they did not respond. But over a matter of the next, 4 or 5 years, when they saw and they understood the financial benefit of selling the fresh cherry,
Oh, I lost you. I'm sorry, Mr. Ezzi. I can't hear you. You're not moving anymore. You're frozen. I'm switching off this. You're gone. Your image is gone or so. We zijn even aan het wachten of de mensen uit Jemen weer terugkomen. Ik hoop dat het lukt. Hi. Sorry? Hi Kees. Anton. Ik ben in overleg met Jemen nu.
Oh, goed zo.
Maar ze zijn net weggevallen. Dus we kunnen gewoon... Maar ja. Dit wordt wel opgenomen, wat we nu zeggen. Hi. Jij bent...
Jane.
Dag Jane, van Kees.
Ja.
Oké. Nou, welkom. Ja, leuk.
Ja.
Cool.
Ik heb hier wat koffie meegenomen voor je.
Super. En brood.
Een brood ook, ja, ik ben ook bakker.
Je bent ook bakker?
Ja.
Oké. Ja, eigenlijk moet je daar nou maar eigenlijk meteen zitten. Maar je kan... Ga gewoon even rustig rondkijken.
Ja.
En,
ik wil ook even naar de wc.
Ja, dus hierachter kan je naar de wc.
Ja.
Neem wat te eten en koffie is er ook.
Ja.
Ik heb net vanochtend mijn eerste badge uit Jemen, dat kreeg ik eergisteren toegezonden. Oh, daar is meneer Shabbir weer. Doe waar je zin in hebt.
Ja.
Dus ik ben met hem aan het over waar zijn bonen vandaan komen.
can you hear me now, Anton?
Yes, we're back. Hello, Mr.
Yeah, sorry,
Shabbir Ezzi.
There was a power outage, and so the line got disconnected.
Oh, okay.
Something
Is
which
this
is quite
normal?
common here. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yes, it's not very reliable, so we manage.
Yes, we'll manage.
Okay,
You
so
were yes. Continue, please.
I was explaining to you how we transformed the coffee scene here. by paying them a higher price for getting fresh cherry from them, which enabled us to do a supervised drying of the cherries. And if the lot was, not too mixed, we also then do the separation of the ripe red cherries. And that gives us what we call the Haraaz red or the Haraaz ripe.
Okay.
So this
But
is
are you?
basically the way that it's our certain practices that we have adopted in the coffee trade in Yemen, which has enabled
Yes.
us to, try to increase the quality levels that can be made available with control rather than, random by chance.
You started this in 2006. Did you grow
Yes.
coffee yourself or your family before?
No, we did not grow coffee, no. So our
Okay.
reason for coming here and setting up the coffee venture was to ensure that farmers, when they sort of, wanted to go back from cart farming to coffee farming, they were not realizing adequate economic incentives or gains to justify that conversion. And our goal was to try to get them the best revenue for the coffee, which would make them, the path of going from cart farming to coffee farming more easy and more acceptable. And in order to do that, we needed to try to enhance the quality, because obviously the market will not pay you higher for poor quality. So we understood how, the coffee quality improves with certain best practices, and we
Yes.
got them to implement it. And the way we got them to implement it is simply by paying them, offering them incentives for doing the correct things.
Okay. And how many farmers do you have in your background, like who deliver you the cherries?
So we had 1,000 farmers registered in our system, and this part that we started working with, basically this region, the Sharqi Haraaz region, is now completely free of cart, and they have established internal capacities to continue this support system through a non-profit organization established within that community and belonging to that community. And it's basically something that's been, completed, and it doesn't need too much of intervention anymore. So it has become standard practice for them to do their activity this way.
So a number of the farmers, they actually uprooted their cut trees and they planted coffee tree, and now they
Yeah.
have like a similar income, or does it differ a lot from the
Oh
cut?
no, now in some cases where you have micro lots coming in, and those micro lots can be pretty high scoring lots, then some of them who really take a lot of trouble in quality control from the farming activity as well as the post-harvest activity, and achieve results which give them much higher revenue. So obviously, for value addition, coffee provides a much wider opportunity for value addition, whereas cart didn't have any value addition potential.
Okay, so they were happy to change into coffee.
Yes, it's become sustainable.
And were they before they grew cut? Were they also growing coffee like 40 years
Yes, some
ago?
of that. Yes.
Hmm.
So there was always coffee never vanished completely,
Yeah.
but it was considerably lower, and the cart was rapidly, catching on.
Yes.
And this needed to be sort of arrested and reversed. And this is what our program enabled to do.
Did you get any help from government or foreign governments or development
No,
organization?
no, but the community in this Haraaz region was a very dynamic community, and they have got internal governance, and they definitely, were very receptive to the idea,
Yes.
because even socially for this community, cart was not good. Socially, religiously, on various platforms, cart, they had to leave cart farming. So they were very receptive to this idea, very cooperative,
Okay.
and all it needed was, to set the system in place where even financially it was beneficial for them.
Okay. So the
So it
process
did
is
not,
now.
it did not, the system does not depend on any external donations or funding. It has
Yes.
become now self-supporting.
All right. And before, did it need some help from?
Yes, so there was a community project which was actually offering them, initial support, financial support,
Mhm.
because when you cart, is like quick money. You
Quick money.
harvest the cart leaves and you get you can encash it within the same day.
Yes.
Whereas coffee, you plant a coffee sapling, it would be a good 4 years before you start seeing the fruit.
Yes.
And then it would be another 2, 3 years before it really starts giving its full production.
Okay.
So during that interim period, obviously they had to survive, and this community project basically supported them with this until they became self-sufficient.
Okay. So, but I do, I missed the financial bridge of this time that they lacked income. Who bridged this?
So this organization called Haraaz Upliftment Office, which was set up
Uh-huh.
by the community, financed within the community. So there were obviously
Okay.
other traders within the community who financed this,
All
and
right.
it was sort of a cooperative effort. Can you just give me a minute? Hello,
Yes.
hello. So it was internally
Okay. And
managed,
if you
yes, financed and managed within the community.
and are we talking now about the local Ismaili community?
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Okay, which is a little different from the mainstream Yemeni community. Can we say that or not?
Not necessarily,
Okay.
because there are pockets of these such communities which make up the entire Yemen diaspora. So there are such similar segments, so to speak, all over
Hmm.
the country. This is one of such segments
Okay.
or
Um,
sectors. Or sectors.
so the cherries are not dried anymore on top of the houses. They are transported directly to Sana'a.
Yes, largely you can say that it's almost like 80% of the crop is no, it's not transported to Sana. It is they'll set
Mhm.
up drying stations,
Okay.
and the coffees are brought to the drying stations. Obviously, they cannot transporting fresh cherry all the way to Sana would also not be economically feasible.
Okay.
So, because the coffee needs to be laid out to dry as early as possible after harvesting, so
Yes.
that it is not exposed to any sort of fermentation.
So there is a production for the facility in the Sharqiya, Haraaz Sharqiya, or near to Manakha.
Yes, not
And
one. There are quite a few of them, maybe about 5 of them right now
okay, so you
in different
and
regions. Yeah.
and the coffee is stored where you are now when it's
Yes. So after it is dried, it is so now there are other traders also who are doing this now.
yes.
So because now there has also been a development of coffee traders and coffee exporters. So obviously the coffee is available to anybody who wants to buy. There's a certain system of what price they're going to buy the coffee and sell it to the market, through their own channels. So there are now several other traders also trading in this type of coffee.
Okay. You are in Yemen. You have probably difficulties in selling, not in selling it, but in transporting it across the border, which is your market, I suppose.
Yes, we do have difficulties because almost for the last 10 years, because of this war, ports have been, functioning and closing on and off, and it's quite unpredictable. Some of the costs, fuel costs, etc., are also unpredictable. So some of these things do affect the price of logistics and the efficiency of logistics. We don't have any air cargo facility here because flights are not allowed,
Yes.
Except without specific permissions from the ruling or the governing authorities, around Yemen.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And these are the things that definitely make logistics a bit of a challenge.
A bit of a challenge.
But
Is that not an understatement?
well, I will not say it's an understatement because there are always solutions.
Okay.
It may be a little more expensive, but there is a solution.
So
Until now, we have never faced a situation where we have had to stop exports. And because, fortunately, I would say, the cost, the basic cost of the coffee of Yemen is so high, proportionately,
yes.
that relative to the cost of the product itself, the cost of logistics is a smaller ratio, smaller proportion.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if you increase, if you double the cost of logistics, it might just affect maybe 5% or 10% of the cost of the product.
Only. And which road has my coffee taken? Can you draw a picture?
So what we have been doing for the last couple of years, I don't know if you are familiar, there's a coffee center which was set up by the UAE government in Dubai.
No, I don't know this.
Okay, so it is similar to these warehouses that borders and all of them operate.
Okay.
But it's the first such facility in the Middle East. It is a government enterprise.
Yes.
And they set up this warehousing and some sort of, roasting, packaging services, all under what is called a coffee center. Now, this was set up, it was supposed to have started before COVID, but because of COVID, it got delayed. And it's only the last couple of years that it really became functional. And since then, we have experimented with moving coffees overland to Dubai, the port of Jebel Ali, and keep our coffees in that warehouse where it's state-of-the-art facilities and very well-controlled climate controlled warehouse.
Yes.
And then from there we distribute all over the world. So it
Okay.
allows us to distribute even smaller quantities. It allows us to send by air. It allows us a lot of things, which is not possible from Yemen even today.
Okay. So you
from
send.
there this coffee went to Bremen, and from Bremen it has come to
Okay. So you send a container through Yemen, through goes through all the provinces to Shabwa, Hadramaut, and it goes through Oman to Dubai. And from Dubai, in the warehouse, it has been distributed by you, your company.
Well, we do have an associate in Dubai who functions as per our system. So basically, the associate is the company
How,
that
how's the
actually.
total production of your company?
So at this moment, we do about 50 tons of green coffee a year. But
50 tons?
now, yes, it's not a big amount, but we had focused basically more on procurement than on sales. And now we are able to structure our offerings to entry-level commercial coffees from Yemen, right, up to very exclusive high cup score lots. And with this entire range, and also with the introduction of the commercial coffees, we are now looking at multiplying the production that we have.
Sorry, the last bit I missed.
We're looking at multiplying the production volumes.
Okay.
Because obviously,
Is this a problem?
It's not a problem, no. It required a lot of resources, because when you talk about large volumes of coffee from Yemen, even the commercial coffees are not less than $10. So it needs a lot of resources, financial resources. I mean, these coffees from Yemen don't come at $2 or $3. They start at $10 and they can go up to $50.
Yes.
So yeah, it's quite an expensive product, and you need a lot of resources to be able to do volume business.
But you can convince the more farmers, even outside maybe the Haraaz, to produce for you?
Yes, so since 2021, we have started implementing our system in other regions in the country.
Okay.
And now we've started getting some regular supplies from them. So it's the same system that we put in Haraaz in 2006.
Yes.
And it took us nearly 15 years, to get the whole thing established the way it doesn't need any sort of, additional power to keep the ball rolling. Now we ventured into other regions, because Yemen is a big coffee growing country. Well, relative to the other countries, it is not too big, but it is still a reasonably good coffee growing country.
Yes.
And what our aim is to try to overall bring up the value of the coffee of the country, so that the country as a whole can gain from the agriculture and trade of coffee, which has always been a national product of the country.
Right, you are. Can I ask you about the benefits for the farmers? If you were talking about the price of coffee from $10 to $50 a kilo, the farmers are they will be getting paid. They deliver berries, and what do they get? Which share do they get?
Have you seen our fair value purchasing system?
I've seen it, but I'd like you to explain it to my viewers.
Okay, so we set a minimum guaranteed price for farmers of 3 types of coffee: the bright cherry,
Yes.
the fresh cherry, which is mixed ripeness, and the ripe cherries only.
Okay.
We have a minimum purchase price, and then the farmers are given an incentive. If they bring in more coffee, they're actually given a price incentive for higher quantity, encouraging them to basically try to grow more coffee. Or if they don't have extra land, they would come together as cooperatives.
Okay.
Farmer groups or cooperatives. Because if they bring in, let's say, 1,000 kilos as opposed to 200 kilos, they get a 5% incentive extra, revenue. And so we have different levels. Now, by doing this, we created a way to enable or incentivize farmers to group themselves, improve the economies of scale, and bring
Yes.
the coffees to us, together under one banner, one supplier. That allowed us also the benefit through easier communication, which flows through the cooperatives. And
Okay.
basically, it's a we all know in the industry how coffee quality needs to be improved on a continuous basis,
Yes.
and there's no limit to improvement. And this is something that's like an ongoing process. It just keeps on improving and improving.
Can you give me a
So we
figure of?
said that thing.
Sorry, can you give me a figure of the minimum price a farmer would be getting for dry beans?
For right cherry, you mean?
No, well, to make it easier for us to understand, can you convert it into dry green coffee?
So the farmer is getting, if it is a fair value coffee, if it is
Yes.
certified fair value by us,
Yeah.
the farmer gets 88% of the value that you pay.
Okay. So it's 88% and not, it's not a number, but it's a percentage.
Yes, because if they've done a good job and the coffee sells at a higher price, then they get the 88% of the higher price.
Okay.
Now this is the base price that we're talking about on a bag
Mhm.
of 64 kilos.
Okay.
Our standard bag size is 64 kilos.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you buy a bag of a smaller pack size like 16 kilos or 32 or whatever, obviously you're
Yes.
paying a little higher, which the farmer
Yes.
will not get out anything from it, because that is a task which is done by somebody else where the farmer is not involved.
All right. I see.
So the farmer, it would get 88% of the base price, which is the price per kilo of the coffee in a bag of 64 kilos.
Okay. Yes. So you only 12% of the price, and smaller quantities a little bit more, is used for transport and selection.
No.
Okay.
No. The transport and all that is what it is. The cost is
Okay.
Depending on different positions.
Mhm.
The transport cost is an extra that is charged to the buyer.
Okay.
But it is done very transparently, so you actually know. So in your case, for instance, if you bought a warehouse price, then like the price difference between the price in a warehouse and the price here X mill.
I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just looking. It's $1.18 per kilo.
At $1.18.
Yes, there's a price difference to bring per kilo of green coffee. That includes, the packaging cost and the shipping costs and customs and clearance and warehousing and all that.
Okay. Is it hard for you to sell the coffee or to bring it to us?
It is always a challenge because there are too many things that have to be coordinated. It's not a simple, ship from here
No.
and it's delivered to the buyer.
Mhm.
As I said, it needs to go through different locations,
Yes.
and then it needs a lot of coordination. So yes, that needs to be done, and in order to bring it at a reasonable price, I mean, it would be very easy to say, okay, the cost is so high, and we charge so much more to the buyer, but that's not, again, in the long run, it's not the right strategy. So we have capped the price at this, and we have to ensure that we manage all these different tasks in the supply chain to be able to deliver the coffee at this price and still not, run into any losses.
Okay. In Holland, it's very hard to get Yemeni coffee. Will it be easier in 2, 3, 4 years?
Anybody's guess?
Sorry?
That is anybody's guess. Nobody predicted that this war is going to last 10 years. And then it was, when it started, it was called Operation Desert Storm. It was supposed to get over in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Okay, and it's still not over. And now we are, as you're well aware, in the midst of another crisis,
Yes.
or in the beginning of another crisis.
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately, yes.
Where does most of your coffee go to? Does it go to Europe, the United States, to the Emirates, to Saudi? Where does it go to?
So right now it goes to several markets. US is one of the major markets always, but it also goes to Europe, it goes to Japan, Far East, it goes to the Middle East.
Okay.
So it is spreading quite a bit. And this was enabled by our supply chain management system.
Okay.
Where we have different levels, basically. So we have, establishing a complete network, global network of retailers and wholesalers and distributors, etc., which will allow this to continue on a very consistent basis.
Will you open a Rotterdam office?
We would be keen to do that if we found a partner.
Okay. I'll try to find you one. What kind of coffee do you prefer to drink yourself?
I usually do a French press, something which is milder, or a drip.
Okay. Okay. Well, I've got these bags. I roasted 1 kilo this morning. I found it difficult because I need to get used to the beans. I have a professional roaster now in my house. Maybe he can help me this afternoon. I don't know. I'm very excited to have this coffee, and can I thank you for this conversation? Maybe you want to add something?
Yes, I would like to take this opportunity to explain to you the cycle of this coffee. As I said, I briefly mentioned to you also through WhatsApp. You see,
Yes.
Natural processed coffee is not the common process that is employed, especially by Latin American countries.
No.
Latin American countries and the large producing countries, Indonesia and all of them, they basically wash their coffees. Now, in Yemen, what is happening is the coffee is set out to dry immediately after harvest. So at no point in the life cycle of the coffee post-harvest does it come into contact with extra moisture. Okay, well,
Yes.
it does in certain hulling methods, which are employed by traditional hullers and that had been operated in Yemen and are still being operated by small setups, which are basically stone hullers. And those stone hullers rely on the coffee dried cherry being re-moisturized. Okay, that is obviously a wrong practice. We're not discussing that practice. We do have a modern cold huller where the coffee is peeled with very little friction, and there doesn't need any introduction of external moisture to soften the
Okay.
peel. So in this case, there's no, the coffee does not come is not exposed to any extra or external moisture. What it does is when the coffee has been properly dried under the sun or under the pyramid dryers that we have employed, this is something unique to our operation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after the coffee has been dried for about 2 to 3 weeks, sun-dried, then the coffee is kept in our warehouse for about 4 to 6 weeks,
Okay.
or rather 6 to 8 weeks, I would say. So basically, we don't process the coffee until it has sort of matured completely and it has reached a state of equilibrium. Okay.
I see.
And
Yes.
then when we after process it, it's dry processed again, and it is packed in these hermetic sealed bags. So it has got a low water activity. It has got a very low water activity.
Yes.
And I'm sure you're familiar with water activity as opposed to moisture.
Yes.
So when the water activity is low, then and when it is kept in storage under these hermetically sealed bags, then there is no bacterial activity. You know, there is no such. It is basically has stopped completely.
Okay.
And when it has completely stopped, it has stopped the aging of the coffee.
All right.
And that's why we have coffees which are customers have even bought coffees which have been in the warehouse for well over 2 to 3 years as well.
Yes.
And they found them to be, there's no deterioration. Now, what happens is because the coffee world and roasters are exposed so much to Latin American coffees or washed coffees, they have developed this idea that well, if a coffee is sitting for a year or two, then it is now aged coffee.
Yes.
And that is true for washed coffees because it does deteriorate over time and deteriorates quite rapidly. Whereas the coffee, which is well processed in Yemen, well dried, well processed, well packaged, and well stored, you can rest assured that it has got a much larger shelf life. So what we always recommend to people, don't go by the date, harvest date. Now that's not relevant because you find coffee coming out from the warehouses of farmers which have been there for over 10 years.
10 years.
Yes. And it is still scoring in the specialty category.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay, so
I understand.
yes.
I understand this, and I'll speak with my interviewees about this and see if they understand this as well. Anything else you want to add?
No, and thank you for this opportunity, and we hope that we can provide whatever true information that you need, and not just make up, marketing stories.
Okay, it sounds very good. I hope
For
to
us,
be.
education is
yes.
very important for us.
I hope to travel to the Haraaz mountains in the future, preferably in the near future, because I've been there 3 times. It's a beautiful area with relaxed
Indeed,
people.
it is.
Yes. So, inshallah, ila lika.
إلى اللقاء إن شاء الله.
Shukran. Shukran jazilan.
Shukran. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye bye.